Hello and welcome to Let's Talk. Keisha here, a place where we remove unhealthy thoughts and replace them with healthy ones. So as you come on in, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching from another platform, make sure you're going over to YouTube at Keisha Taylor, that's Kisha, and subscribe. And make sure you share this message out. Share this message out to as many people as you like so that they can hear this message as well too. Because as I said, this is about removing unhealthy thoughts and replacing them with healthy ones. And we can all use a dose of that every now and then. So today I'm talking about tactical training camp, if you will. And I say that we have formal training, we have informal training. And when we think about our formal training, for example, I was in the Academy for Corrections and we had formal training. That formal training was about readiness, preparedness, kind of having foresight, expecting things that might come and being ready for them, safety, being prepared, or how to handle situations that actually arise when you get behind them walls. And of course, we had OJT as well that went along with your training, that once you got inside, you were able to kind of get a feel for what you were going to be experiencing when you actually started working. Those things all set us up for what the experience might be once we get inside. We also had informal training over our life, right? Different things that we experienced that caught us off guard, that we had to learn lessons to get through it. We had experiences that might have arrived because of someone else's situation that we had to kind of endure with them. So we had, informal and formal training, so to speak. And right now, as we are dealing in this crazy right now, both our formal training, for whatever your background is, it could be law enforcement, as I just named, but it could be in the medical field, it could be in the business field, it could be any training that you've had for your current career that you're in, as well as any informal training that you've had over your lifetime. What we are experiencing right now is a combination of two. We've seen over years and years and years the economy go up and down. We've seen like 2008, we saw the housing market crash and what that did. We've seen other times, like back in the 80s, depending on when you were born, or 70s rather, when you were born, there was another recession, I believe. And we saw the struggles of that time, right? We saw the struggles of the end of the heroin era. We saw the crack era come and go, and now we're seeing the heroin era come back again, and how we manage through that, be it with family or friends or people that we know in our community, of what we deal with during those times, right? So when we think about right now where we are in COVID, where we are right now in the economy, where we're headed, pulling together your formal and informal training, you want to be thinking from where you are right now to where you're planning on being out in the future, right? Where you're planning on being next year, 2021, this same time. And what kind of things you're experiencing right now, and then what things you might experience when we get to that juncture. And you bringing together your formal and informal training. So informal training, for me, I'm kind of pairing things together here, as you can see, right? Because there's so many unknowns. There's so many things that people are concerned about, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do. And I think that we have toolkits already that we're not necessarily accessing to help us maintain through this time, and kind of pull some of those tools out and get re-familiar with them for what it is that we might need that particular tool for coming into next year. So and I can only give based on my own background, right? So kind of coming up, we had struggle with finances. We didn't always have food in the house. We had to share clothes. Rent wasn't always paid. We, had some public assistance help You had to go to face and all those different things, right? Borrow butter, eggs, milk, from a neighbor, just to kind of get by. We lived through those things. So you learned how to stretch a dollar as far as it can go. You learned how to make, meals last, right, for extended periods of time. And I'm not saying that any of us are there. The thing is that if you had to be there, could you? Could you be there without losing your mind, right? Right now, we kind of have this whole CARES Act scenario where people are getting an additional $600 or whatever it is, but that's not going to last forever, right? So what happens when that goes away and now we got 30,000 plus people out of work and now no one can find work? What do you do right there? Right now, you should be, preserving everything that you can right now so that you can be prepared at that time so you can enact some of them tools in that toolkit to make that thing stretch out, right? That's one. The other thing is you can look for different creative, ways to make money right now and start to work on those things, because that's one of those situations where you can use a skill set that you already have to create a job for yourself, i.e. job for yourself, but to create a business for yourself that's going to generate some income. If we end up in a situation come November and we don't know what that's going to end up being like, that propels us into worse of a situation regarding whose life matters, right? Regarding what's considered, hate or not, equity, all of that, right? As that situation may progress, we don't know what's going to happen as we go forward. But being prepared for some of those things that we are currently experiencing now, where's your headspace, right? I saw something recently and it made me think about this. And this is not like a negative at all, so please don't take it that way. I saw the gathering in, where was it? Louisiana? No, Atlanta, I'm sorry. A gathering, right? And it made me say, they've been practicing for years and years and years, right? How long have we been practicing? And I think that it's very important because this is not a joke right now. And just a show of force without really being able to execute force is not going to be good, right? Because they've been practicing already for years. And I like the fact that there's a show of organization, a show of willingness of force if need be, but are we really ready for that? And I don't want it to come to that. I really don't want it to come to that, right? So that's not what I'm suggesting. I want you to kind of, jaywalk over with me to this thought process. The same way that happened on that day for the potential of what was the threat that was all over social media that was supposed to happen for 4th of July weekend. And thank God it didn't happen. But in the same way that organization came together to say, we ready, you know what I mean? If, you know what I'm saying, this is what it is, we're going to be ready. I really feel like having that same mindset around, let's come together for growth. Let's come together for power. Let's come together for capturing more of the market share. Those type of things, right? Coming together for that type of situation, because I believe that is a tremendous power source for us to be able to really show. And I know that I see it on social media all the time. Blackout Day, only shop black, all of that. And I get it that we're doing it because we want to show that our lives matter. Our dollar matters. We have value, I get it. But even outside of that, if you think about a focus around just having more black businesses, having more people to go to when we have a need for a service, right? That we can, and we don't have to worry about that kind of treatment. I have had situations where I went for a service And I've given this situation before, and this was like, way back when this is in New York. I went to a Chinese restaurant, and I normally like, my food that has sauce on it to be separated. I don't like it all mixed with my rice. I'm just funny like that. But so I get there after I place my order, and had ordered from this place on numerous occasions. So when I get there, I see that my food is mixed in together, and I said, oh, when I called, I asked for it to be separate, and they were like, well, I mean, all you got to do is just push it to the side. And I was like, I get that, but that's not what I want to do. I asked for it to be separate because I don't want to push it to the side. I don't want the sauce to be mixed with my rice. And the person behind the counter was like, look, I'm not going to be arguing with you. You want it or you don't want it, right? And he kind of like slapped it down on the counter, like towards me, like I was like, and I said, you are getting my money for something that I ordered from you. I am a customer. And this is how you want to talk to me and treat me as a customer? I pushed it right back to him and I said, no, I don't want it. And I walked out, never to return. I've never returned in. Even the years that I still was living in New York, I never returned there because I take that so seriously that if you don't value my money and my business, I don't need to do business with you. That's just one scenario. I've had other scenarios like that. One of my properties, and this is since I've been in North Carolina, the AC person that I had that normally took care of any of my properties, AC, doing the annual checks where they, check your cooling and then the winterizing and all of that stuff, right? And he had done business, of course, with me already. And I called him because one of my tenants said, oh, the AC is not working. He went out with the thermostat. The batteries died in the thermostat, which is what he stated. And of course, I paid $65 for you to go out there to change doggone batteries. Okay, I get it. That's your business. You're making money. Now, mind you, he charges $75 to do my annual. And it was kind of around that time for the annual anyway. So no big deal. He changed the batteries. A week later, the tenant reached out to me again. The AC is not working. He goes out there this time and determines something was going on with one of the coils, right, in the compressor. And now you charging me again for this visit a week later when this was something that you could have found last week when you were there. And then you, of course, you're charging me extra for it, plus whatever it is to repair it. And I said to him, you normally charge me $75 to do your annual. When you went out there and you realized it was just the batteries, why wouldn't you just go ahead and say, hey, I'm charging you to be out here anyway. Let me just go ahead and check everything while I'm here. And if I had needed cooling or whatever, I would have paid extra for the cooling, right? But that's not what you did. You charged me and just replaced batteries when obviously it was probably more than that. And now the following week, you're charging me again the same price as if it was the first visit, plus the additional to repair it. When I could have paid that one price, you would have found that and told me what it was. As I'm sharing this with him to say, I'm thinking, that's kind of, he was like, look, I told you what the price was. I came out there the first time because you called me and I found what the problem was. Now you call me again. I went back out there to find what the problem was. That's it. I'm not going to argue with you. I was furious. Because you done put a whole AC system in for me and another property, $5,000. You done other work for me or whatever. And I spent money with you. Ain't never been no problem spending money to get things done that I need to get done. And you are going to communicate with me in that way, like a straight brush off discount in what I'm saying to you. And basically, once again, talking to me like no value. So I said, no problem. This will be the last job that you do for me. Now, I share this to say neither of them looked like me. And not to say that I have not tried to do business with people who look like me. I've been doing this for years now. I've had my fair share. That's a whole other video on some of those experiences of where we need to tighten up, right? But for today, what I'm talking about is neither of them look like me. And the value was not there for the business that you were doing for me. That when there was something that needed to be discussed, you felt that you can communicate with me in any old way, right? We're not having that. So to that point, I'm saying that same show that I saw there, it always makes me think about how we can be in positions of providing more services and treat one another in that way. I have had scenarios where I've done business with people who look like me, and they treated me in a way that I know that they would not treat someone that didn't look like us, right? So timeliness, professionalism, being on point, right? You felt like it's no big deal because, it's us. So you didn't handle your business at the same level that you would have handled it if it was someone else that you was dealing with. That is something that we shouldn't have either, right? So going back to where I kind of digressed from, which was training camp, right? All of the things and the life experiences that we've had up to this point, through relationships that we've had, business that we've done with other people, formal training from your job, informal training from the life experiences that I mentioned, struggles that you've had, in life. You have been in training already. I'm sharing this message to say, dust it off, pull out them tools from that toolkit. Think about all of the formal and informal training that you have had and kind of start to put it in play for now and as we going into next year. Because when we get into next year, and this is just my opinion, there's going to be some things just like how we experienced COVID and we didn't plan for it. And it kind of took us all off guard. And some people are super stressed out. There's lots of crazy things that's going on based on the effects, the emotional, mental effects of the COVID and the crisis itself, of things that people have lost as far as their jobs, their livelihood, all of those things, right? Family, people have passed away, just horrible things, right, that we are enduring. Coupling that with the economy taking a dive, coupling that with what might happen come November, which we don't know, coupling that with what we see happening in other countries and people making moves, if we might end up in a war or not in a war, right? Putting all of those things together, what are we doing from the things that we've already learned informally over our life on how to survive, right? How to grow during times of crisis, how to land on our feet in times of crisis. Also from our formal training, things that we have developed skills in that may come in handy during the times ahead of us. So I'm putting that out there just because these are thoughts that I have on a regular basis as far as readiness, where we should be as far as our individual space, where we should be collectively, even dealing with what's going on culturally in society, where we need to be as far as being unified and bringing some of that stuff together so that we can be organized on more than just the front of defending our lives, but in a position of power that makes the powers that be hear and see us, not just by way of bloodshed. Also positioning for the future and the future of our children that are going to be on the backs of this situation that we are experiencing right now. Because I believe that there is more ahead to come. That's going to be things that we are not expecting. And I mean, I don't know what will happen during that time. So I'm not saying that I'm all super ready, but these are thoughts that I have about preparing for those things. I believe that there's probably going to be mass layoffs come next year for even those people that have jobs now that are essential right now. This company's losing, you know what I'm saying, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars right now that are hanging out based on PPP, right? And come next year, the PPP is going to be gone. They've gotten all the funding that they can get. So they are for-profit business. They're not for profit. So that means they're going to have to cut expense. And what's the biggest expense that you can cut? Someone's salary, right? So then you might be facing a situation where you're out of work. And based on that, if we already are at, 30,000 plus, where are we going to be next year when those people haven't found work and they're furloughed? And then there's more layoffs that come behind that. Where are we going to be? So where are you going to be? Okay? Where are you going to be in your personal space, your head space, being calculated, making moves? Where's your family going to be as far as, being anchored in their ability, your ability, their ability collectively to be able to sustain, not just survive, but sustain? And then finally, where are you going to be as far as having some kind of a share in the marketplace, kind of as a way or a route or a direction for other people to be able to champion and follow, right? And those are just some of the thoughts that I have that, they say the transfer of wealth or the transfer of, dynamics in society. There's opportunity. There's opportunity there for us to be able to do more, for us to have more market share. But of course, I always say it starts with unification. It starts with less hate and more love. It starts with more unity, less dissension. It starts with collective thought process as opposed to many thoughts not aligning with one vision, right? If there's many thoughts aligning with one vision, that's great. But if you have many thoughts not aligning with a vision at all, then of course it's collapse, right? Because there's always conflict and confrontation, and it's not necessary, right? We need to have those things coming together collectively. So we have all been through training camp, right? Tactical training for all of the experiences that we've had in our life that was, something we didn't prepare for, that we had to learn on the cuff. And then we had formal training of skills that got us ready for different things that we had to do in our lives, to be able to have livelihood and to be able to have income, to be able to have the things in life, of course, that, we desire to have. So I say bring those things together. Think about all of the training, formal and informal training that you have had up to this point. And I think you need to chart some territory for what is to come. So I hope that helps someone today. Just sharing from my heart, of course. May not be. This is just my view on it. And I want to share for anyone that can hear it, anyone that hadn't thought about it, that it may benefit them and it can save you some time, some effort, some energy in the future by thinking about it right now and putting some things in place. That's all it is that this message is for. So have a great rest of your day. And I ask you, of course, to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can make more videos like this and be able to share information out to people that may benefit from it. Also, I ask that you share it out, because if you share it out, then more people will hear the message as well. Also visit my website at mentalshiftmastery.com. I have my book that I wrote, Overcoming the Hand That You Were Dealt, that kind of talks about some of that informal training on the go that you had to learn to survive, which would be a very good thing for some people to read right now. Just life things and mental strategy things, and the struggle and the strength that comes out of it when you overcome, right? And also make sure you follow me on Facebook at lifeunlimitedkt and Instagram at overcomer2770. So take care, be blessed. I'll speak to you next time on Let's Talk.